And I'm BJ. Welcome back to your weekly booze, news, and reviews. Ta-da-da! That was
Welcome
a lot of
back.
dead space.
Welcome back. And
hi,
welcome to our
everybody.
normal schedule. Thank you. Our apologies. Life, we always say that. I think we've done pretty good about having a show weekly. There's on occasion where we fluctuate. Please go back. We had a show last Thursday.
Yeah, but we have a difficult time doing a weekly show, but we do try to do, like you said, a weekly show.
A weekly show.
A show every week.
I wish we could do 3 shows a week is my ideal, but I don't. None of us have the time for that.
Let's quit our jobs.
We're
gonna quit our jobs.
The day job.
We're gonna quit the job and we're gonna make this the full-time gig. That's what you want. That's what we want. So let's make it happen, everybody. Get those super chats happening. Start donating today. We're ready to take it all the way. It's
like and
Barrel Buddies.
Subscribe.
Like,
the usual
subscribe. Let's
shill.
go.
You guys see this every day on YouTube. You know the drill. Listen, you got to remember when an application like YouTube or when an app that you download is free. Do you know who the product is?
You're the
We're the product.
You're the product.
I keep telling everybody, YouTube is free. You download it because they just want to see the algorithm. They take all that data and Google does something with it in their infinite. I'm sure it's Skynet. Anyway,
yes, they load it into the Skynet. Have you seen this boy?
Patrick Curry.
Have you seen this video?
It's like John Connor back in the milk crate. Have you seen this?
Have you seen this video? YouTube.
Skynet. That's the John Connor reference.
So
Patrick Curry, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. You're the first one. That means obviously you are subscribed,
and obviously you
get notifications when we go live. So
Patrick called me earlier today.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's
go
right.
On.
Fellow viewers, fellow watchers of.
When you like and subscribe, you also get our personal phone numbers where you can text with us if you're lonely.
You can chat with us. And so Patrick,
we can actually set up an anonymous number people can text
actually called me and said, "Ooh, what's going to be on the show tonight?" And we said, "Honestly, I don't know. It could be a multitude of things." And I named off some pretty big deal things, but nothing would have prepared me for what we actually picked, which was Michter's 10.
Michter's 10. Yeah. Pretty big bottle. Get a little philosophical and a little opinionated here before we really get into the review. So if you're just here to watch the review, you probably want to skip ahead a couple minutes. Because what we're going to do, I'm going to go through this, then we'll go through the review. Then we're actually going to talk a little bit about the history of Michter's. Well, we'll do that first. And then afterwards, I actually have a really cool article from some people that I follow on the internets that I'd like us to go through, which would be really cool and fun. But if you're just here for the Michter's review, it will be here shortly. And for other than that, I would like to talk about a very
sensitive topic.
Important person, a very important object of the show. For those that don't know, the one and only Bourbon Cat, and unfortunately she's over on the couch.
That's right.
Sleeping.
For those of you that were getting ready for bad news.
Yes, I know that the way I opened up with that was pretty bad. She's not doing too hot, friends out there, just letting you all know. So for those that watch the show consistently and always see Bourbon Cat in my lap most of the shows, she is 20 years old, blind, unfortunately, stage 3 kidney disease, unfortunately, as well. We've been trying to manage that lately. And she kind of had a scare a couple days ago. So what my thought was behind that, since she was Bourbon Cat, was I kind of want to go all out for the next couple of shows. And I think philosophically, this is a great reason to drink bourbon, because I think with taters and flippers and the FOMO junk out there right now, let's go back to bourbon's roots. And this was a product made to enjoy with friends for a reason, special occasion, and I think it holds special meaning today.
Can we get an amen in the comments? How about
that we're going to have, I would say, maybe the next couple episodes, we're just going to be opening up with, as the younger generation calls some bangers. It's already been said in the chat, banger of a bottle. We're going to be opening up just some high-end stuff, because it's like there's no better reason. You think that you're gonna save it for some special occasion, guys? Don't wait. Don't sit on these bottles. Drink them with friends while you can. Enjoy that moment. What are you doing?
I'm playing the music. On
I
the
need
background.
you to just stop.
Okay,
It
I'm
is
sorry.
literally like you're just grabbing.
Sorry.
Just anyway. I didn't want to go there because I was gonna get a little vulgar. I just like you're just twisting the boys.
Sorry.
Like what?
Sorry.
It's so aggravating.
I was trying to
Don't
set
do that.
good mood, and
it's not setting the good mood. I'm already talking about basically
sad mood. I know.
a member of the show
I
in
know.
dire straits here.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
With that being said, friends,
Makes me sad.
we're gonna be opening up some big bottles. We're gonna just, we're gonna have a Bourbon Cat commemoration. She's sleeping right now, but I've seen her pop her head up because I've said Bourbon Cat a couple of times, and that usually triggers her to come walk down here and join us on the show. And we'll see. Maybe we'll turn that camera over on her, but she's kind of in her comfort zone. We had a scare a couple days ago. We had to have the vet come out, check her out. Still waiting on some blood test results, but obviously, she's 20 years old. I told you her ailments, not doing too hot. We'll see. But regardless, we're here today to drink an amazing bourbon and celebrate friendship and awesome things.
Would it be wrong for me to
stuff.
ask everyone to leave an F in the comments?
Stop. What, the two people leave two Fs that are watching the show right now?
Hey guys, we should leave an F in the comments for Bourbon Cat.
Delano Allen. Hey fellers, what's up, man?
What's up, Delano?
How's it going, bud?
Thanks
Good
for
to
joining
see
us.
you. Uncle Punky, great to see you as well.
Uncle P?
How's it going? Had to get to the chat here.
Talked to Uncle P a couple of days ago too, which was actually lovely and delightful to see.
And how's he doing?
He's doing great. And
we're going to talk about something close to his home.
This is
today.
32 minutes from his home. The historical reference.
The historical reference.
Historical moment of Michter's is 32 minutes
from his house.
From his house. I looked it up.
Okay. What's your favorite Michter's? Like right now, before you you can say it's this because I know you've had this, but do you have a favorite Michter's?
Yeah, just regular Michter's.
Just the regular,
like
the American. I think it's called American or
regular
something.
American bourbon. Michter's American bourbon.
I think that. Let me pull it up here.
The green label. No, that's the rye. The green is the
American whiskey. It's American whiskey.
Yeah, the blue.
The blue. Number one American whiskey. I'm also a fan of this, by the way.
It's very good. It's very good. It's all the things you like about whiskey turned up to 11. And I think it's very sweet. It's very creamy. Some really nice vanillin that comes out of the barrel.
I'm showing our friends out there that bottle specifically.
That's a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
I like that Michter's, and it's mostly because I don't know that I've had anything beyond Michter's American whiskey or Michter's rye. So this I think is going to be a new. I may have had Michter's 10 once, but I don't honestly remember.
That's fair.
What about yours?
The 10. Actually, it's the 20.
The 20.
I talk about this. So I had the 20 at I don't know if it's still called this, but the lobby bar at the Bellagio.
The Petrosian?
The Petrosian.
Yeah.
Was my first experience with actually a very pricey, whiskey in general. Before this, I haven't really had anything expensive. There was a bottle going around. I think there were some friends behind the bar, like some distro person was there or something, and poured me a little bit of the 20. And that probably was one of the first little things that sparked my interest into bourbon and whiskey.
That's
was
nice.
Like when I first had that, I was like, whoa,
it's a good story.
What is this? Like, not really even knowing bourbon and jumping right into something like that is huge, because now I think that's always like the best, and I compare everything to that, which I know it's not, but it was really good at the time. But that was 2008, 2009.
It's back before the old bourbon rush.
Time ago, before the bourbon rush. And that bottle was probably a couple $100 at the time. And now it's like, I think the
20 grand.
The 20 is 1,000 MSRP. Excuse me, but the flipper, obviously the secondary is like a couple grand at this point.
Okay. Want to get some deets for you off of this bottle. So this
Yeah, and I'm
is
going to
the-
share the bottle too here so our friends can see it and we can talk about Michter's 10.
Perfect,
So those
yeah.
that don't know anything about it.
So this is the Michter's single barrel. That is 10 years old.
Mhm.
It is straight bourbon whiskey distilled in small batches according to the Michter's pre-Revolutionary War quality standards, dating all the way back to 1753, ringing in at 47.2 alcohol volume, so 94.4 proof. And then there's a really good little story that comes with this, and I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'll just go pass this your way. Does this look like I'm going to steal your thunder in any way, shape, or form?
Not at all.
You mind
Please
if
go
I
right
read that?
ahead.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
All right. So the little booklet that comes on the neck of the bottle here.
Hey, hold
says-
on a second.
Oh.
Kevin Curry's chiming in.
What? Hey, Kevin.
Michter's Barrel Strength Rye.
Ooh, he likes that one, huh?
I didn't even know. Oh, I know which one he's talking about. I was thinking of the toasted. Okay.
Is that the green bottle?
No. So that one is, it is. It's a green label.
Okay.
And it does look very reminiscent. Actually, I have both here. The toasted also is a green barrel or
Yeah,
green label.
I think I have had the single barrel. I think that's the rye I had. Was that one? And it was very good. I like a good rye. We like rye.
Yes, we do.
Is that the small? Is that the sour mash? Oh, no, that's a toasted. It's a
then it gets
toasted.
into celebration. Oh, my
Ugh, okay.
gosh.
So story. The Michter's legacy traces back to America's first whiskey distilling company, established in 1753. During its rich history, it's also been known as Shanks and as Bombergers.
Oh, bang, 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 bang. I'm sure that's ringing a lot of bells for
Now-
everybody because those bottles are usually everywhere and people lose their minds over them too. And they're not even
Shanks.
that good.
Bombergers. We've all heard of Bomberger.
We'll
We love that.
explain where those names originate from once BJ's done.
Now, over the years, Michter's has earned its praise from whiskey lovers as well as acclaim from writers for its exceptional small production for rye, bourbons, and American whiskeys. And we hope that our single barrel spirits show you that specialty whiskey making in America is alive and well as good as it gets. So thank you for trying our uniquely flavorful whiskeys. Enjoy. Flavable whiskeys.
Wow, I didn't know that was a word.
And we also are proud to offer you our rare 10-year-old single barrel whiskey in the Flavable. In the Michter's tradition, hailing from America's first whiskey distilling company, which we've already heard about, it's further mellowed in a signature filtration, which I'm sure we're going to discuss, as well as American white oak. So that's kind of a fun story. Buy one and read that book yourself.
Yeah,
I left out some boring parts.
Yeah, do we want to go into like the history while we already poured?
I've poured it because I wanted to let some of that ethanol
Let it breathe.
The nose on this came off very ethanol forward. For only being 47%, it came off very
Whoa, it is hot, boy.
hot. It came off very hot.
Whoa.
So while we let that breathe up a little bit, why don't you take us through some interesting historical contributions that this particular whiskey gave to our homeland, America.
I'm sharing this on the big screen because there's some small font here, so we're gonna stay small. And then I'm sure Uncle Punky is like, "Look at this, Schaeferstown, Pennsylvania."
Schaefer's, maybe it's pronounced Schaeferston.
Schaeferston. It could
Schaeferton?
be. It could be. I think
I don't know.
like
You guys
Boston
all pronounce
cities
things
where it's like Peabody and it's Peabody.
Yeah, back east, things
You
have
know,
their own unique
Their own
pronunciation.
saying. Uncle P, if you know, let us know in the chat if it's Schaeferstown or Schaeferston.
Schaeferston.
But
Watch, it's Shefferston.
So here's the thing. Michter's was originally known as Shanks Distillery
Of the John Shank
and then Bomberger's Distillery,
of
Wow.
the French Bombergers.
which we're going to get to. So it was founded by John Shank, a Swiss Mennonite farmer in Schaeferstown, Pennsylvania in 1753. That is insane.
Shun the light bulbs and raise a barn.
1753 is like, talk about a legacy,
That is a good
a
one.
history.
As America's first. It goes back to America's first.
In its earliest days, Shanks produced whiskey from rye grain, a favorite local crop in the Pennsylvania Blue Mountain Valley where the distillery was located. So very cool.
Yeah.
According to Pennsylvania lore, commemorated by the Lebanon Valley Coin Club in 1978. Obviously, an authority figure in Pennsylvania.
And in the very strong year of 1978.
In the very prominent year of 1978.
I don't like that. The
flex of the Lebanon Valley Coin Club reiterated,
we're obviously
and confirmed and commemorated.
It commemorated in a collectible coin struck in the Lebanon Valley.
That this particular from what are those companies that sell like the Bradford Exchange?
Yeah, the Brad. Yeah,
buy this exclusive Ben Franklin coin.
Struck exclusively
for the
Bradford Exchange
and approved by the Panamanian government as official Panama currency.
Hand this down to your grandchildren.
This $7 Benjamin Franklin official 24-karat gold-plated coin.
I'm sorry, we digress. The Lebanon Coin Club
and everybody knows
of 1978. Continue.
Sorry. This particular rye whiskey was so valued from Shanks in this era.
This is a big deal.
That when the Revolutionary War broke out, supposedly.
No, I like this. I think this is real.
General George Washington visited the distillery and purchased whiskey to fortify his men as they hunkered down in their camps through the long, brutal winter at Valley Forge.
That's right. This is the whiskey that not only won the war, but how do they say it?
Over 200 years later, the Michter's Pennsylvania management would say Michter's was, quote, the whiskey that warmed the American Revolution.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The whiskey.
There it is.
That not only won the war, but that warmed.
I don't know that you get more American, God bless America, than Michter's brand. If you are a true patriot,
and I'm proud
this needs to be your brand.
American.
No, I'm going to tell you, I'm all about this. I think I may have my favorite brand here. Because of that history.
That's
an insane history.
That's a cool story.
Listen, is it better than saying, oh, they were this distillery, they don't distill, they get their discount barrels as like seconds from a random big name distillery?
We found a dog that fell off a truck.
Hold on ago. They opened up 3 years ago, and they're very prominent Southern California restaurateurs and bartenders. These guys are a big deal, or they're very prominent. They know what they're talking about, but they don't distill. But these bottles are worth the value. Amberana staves. Oh, they're finished in Amberana. Chips. Yeah. Chips. They're used in
Amberana sawdust.
Used cooperage, finished for 24 months in an Amberana staved barrel.
Okay.
But hold on.
It's
so whiskey. Good. It's so good.
America's whiskey.
What? Buy it, guys.
Jimmy.
Fuck off with that shit. Stick to an American patriotic brand, Michter's. If you're not buying Michter's, you're basically a communist. Buy Michter's. George Washington. It doesn't get. He approved of this. It doesn't get any better. The Lebanon Valley Coin Club in 1978 approved it. I almost want to do bottle drop. Mic drop.
Don't do that.
Won't do that.
Because we'd like to talk about how the bottle of 10 year was once auctioned off.
Safi, love you. Good to see you.
What was the auction house? One of these bottles went for like $76,000.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this story continues.
Was it Sotheby's?
That's the Christie's.
Oh, Christie's auction house.
Here we go. So let's keep going back into the history. Now we're in the 1800s. Revolutionary War long behind us. 200 years later, or whatever, mid-1800s, which is like 50 years later, probably. I don't know, maybe later than that. Pennsylvania Dutchman, Abraham Baumberger. I don't know why. John Shank was probably, I don't know, had a gambling problem or something. He purchased a distillery.
Okay.
And he changed the name to Baumberger's.
Delightful.
For many decades. I don't get a clarity on their website. So you get to hear many decades.
Nice and vague. Broad brush. I like it.
So zip along here to Prohibition. So in 1919, the distillery had to shut its doors to the public. Yikes. I'm sure we lost. Prohibition we probably lost. I mean, if you really think about it, probably some amazing distilleries and recipes got lost to prohibition. It's very unfortunate.
Thanks, Volstead.
Yeah, Volstead Act, burn in hell. So, although the distillery did reopen after the repeal of prohibition, it changed hands many times in that era over the next couple of decades.
How many times did it change?
Well, it doesn't say, but I'm going to say this much because they were in a very they're calling it a precarious financial position. Let's be honest, nobody was into bourbon. I mean, after you talk about 50s to the 70s, that nobody was really drinking bourbon and
No,
whiskey.
It was all about really
like,
cool martinis,
gin
and
martinis and vodka. And
bourbon was not it.
Bourbon was not it. Bourbon was like
was
the
out.
working man's blue collar, like working in the mines and having a bourbon to wash all the coal dust down.
It was
the
Amos,
popcorn
it was Amos
lung.
Moses's drink.
Anyway, in 1989, as some real distilleries, the whiskey industry suffered a very prolonged downturn, as they're calling it. So the Michter's owners at the time in 89 declared bankruptcy and actually abandoned the premises, which is, I'm surprised they said that. So they basically were like, mic drop, throw the keys in the room somewhere, lock the door behind him and walk away.
Well, because that was in Schaeferstown.
In 89, so they left the Pennsylvania operations in disrepair, obviously. And so the Michter's name seemingly lost to history, were it not for the fortuitous connection to two whiskey lovers with an abiding admiration for the old Michter's legacy and quality.
And they were
no other than, in the 1990s, Joseph J. Magliocco. Might be mispronouncing that. And his consultant and mentor, Richard Dick Newman, good old Dick Newman, teamed up to resurrect Michter's. Magliocco, who entered the wine and spirits industry after attending Yale and graduating from Harvard, was intimately familiar with Michter's throughout the college days of imbibing, bartending, and selling Michter's. Newman followed up his service as a U.S. Marine, and he earned a Purple Heart. Salute to you, sir.
Back to American
Thank you for your service. Wow, look at that. With an illustrious career in the whiskey business, eventually running Old Grandad, Old Crow, and Old Taylor for national distilleries before he became the president and CEO of Austin Nichols, the distiller of Wild Turkey.
Well, this has got hell of a background.
What a history. Magliocco, Acco, and Newman began with a simple strategy: to honor the Michter's legacy by producing the best whiskey possible, cost be damned. That's on their website. After filing for the unused and abandoned Michter's trademark,
abandoned, that's positive,
they made their first major strategic decision to resurrect the brand in Kentucky, the heart of modern American whiskey bourbon industry.
Okay.
To ensure that they had access to the best whiskey talent and resources available. Smart move. That's a brilliant move, actually. And then they have 3 locations in Kentucky. They have a 78,000 square foot distillery in the Shively section of Louisville.
Okay.
The architecturally significant Fort Nelson building on Louisville's Museum Row, and the 205 acres of farmland in Springfield. Wow.
That's a hell of a story.
What a story.
So
what a historical, like, I don't know why they don't have their bottles aren't red, white, and blue, American flag. They're not running with that whole thing. They need to be running on their history, their historical value.
Well, what do you say we get into
this? Is not a non-distilling producer's garbage. This is tradition. This is American values. Cheers to that.
Sorry. I'm ready to go.
He's like,
I'm ready to drink.
Move along is what he's doing under the table. Move along. Sub 1K, good to see you. Uncle P says there's a lot of Baumburgers in his neighborhood. Well, I'm sure there is, and we're going to get to that. We're going to talk a little about that. They're drinking martinis over at the Uncle P compound.
Oh, are you doing that around the fire pit?
And is it
are you catching fireflies?
I don't know. Sub 1K just popped in. Sub 1K.
Hey, Bobby.
Sub 1K.
Another gentleman
good to see you.
that I spoke to on the phone yesterday. So once again,
you're gonna need to. All right, I'm gonna get her. You keep talking.
talk to a lot of the subscribers. We do talk on the phone. We do. We do. And James is grabbing old J Boo. Old J Bourbon.
Look who we have here.
She woke up and crawled on down.
Look at that. Say hi to everybody. Gotta say hi. She's purring away. Are you
Oh,
getting it on
yeah.
the mic?
Yeah. Somebody woke up.
She woke up and she heard her name. She heard us saying Bourbon Cat, and she's like, "What?" She's actually like, "What is this flipping commotion over here?" All right, I gotta put you down for a second and get the cans back on. All right.
Wow. Okay, so at 47.2%,
Oh, sorry. There you go.
it's not offensive to the palate at all. You can chew it for a little bit. There is some toastiness from the barrel that's on the palate there. But the finish, and that's what I've always appreciated about a Michter's bourbon and Michter's whiskey, is the finish. And I think that, like service, like any interaction, it's what you're left with that lets you come back, right? It's the old Maya Angelou adage: people will always remember how they made you feel.
Yeah.
And this does make me feel a certain way. It makes me feel nostalgic. It makes me feel like I want to walk down memory road.
Oh,
in
she is
memory
just. You see this
lane.
tail wagging? I'm sure they can see it on the
She's
camera. I know you
flicking
can't
away.
see it. Yeah,
I can't see anything.
She's just digging it right now.
And this makes me nostalgic and want to sit back and remember things. And I think that's what a good spirit is supposed to do. That's why we bottle it. I do believe that's why we call it a spirit. It's bottling something from the past. And I know that's not literal. That's just where I feel about it. And I like this. I don't particularly like the flavor pronunciation on the palate. I think that it gets a little charcoaly. And I think that's just from the toast profile on the barrel. But the finish, smooth, very creamy,
Long finish.
very long. The tannins are very soft. They're very harsh on the palate when you have the spirit in your mouth, but the finish, the tannins are very soft.
So there is a sharpness, but not in a bad way. So the initial shock to the palate, you do get like a sharp oak. It does kind of hit you.
Yeah.
But you have to remember it's 10 years old. All right. It's 10 years old. It's a
barrel tea a
10-year-old
little bit.
product. It's got a little bit of that coming through. As we've told you, friends, age of a bourbon, like it's not a scotch, right? Like peak bourbon aging is probably 6 to 9 years is probably, we'll call it the sweet spot of bourbon. 10 years, okay. Obviously you have your FOMO bottles, your 12, your Pappy 12s, your 23s, whatever, the 15s, blah, blah, blah. A lot of other random stuff that's out there, a bunch of Canadian stuff that's out there. But with bourbon specifically, you're getting like, you ride a fine line, because the longer that the juice sits in these barrels, that barrel Lamaze that's going on that we talk about on the show, that liquid going in and out of those staves, you get that oak really starts getting pronounced at a certain point.
It's interesting you bring this up, and I'm glad you do, because Michter's participates in their rick houses in a process called heat cycling.
Whoa, do tell.
Now, heat cycling is actually the actual term for barrel Lamaze.
Okay.
When we talk about the whiskey going into the barrel and coming out of the barrel, and some of that coming out, also known as the angel share, and going back into what's actually in the barrel, that's called a cycle. It's called cycling. And what they participate in is heat cycling, which means they're constantly rotating their barrels. Some distilleries, as we've talked about, put their barrels in the rick house, and they have a top rack in the rick house, a middle rack in the rick house, and a bottom rack in the rick house. And we've talked about how, the higher up in that rick house, the more the heat plays with that.
Well, that's like, you shout out to Smoke Wagon, Aaron at Smoke Wagon. He's got it. He knows what to do, right?
Right.
Take some MGP juice, 6 to 9 year MGP juice, bring it to Vegas, throw it in the desert, throw it on, in his warehouse on some,
Well, they're rotating their barrels in the Michter's warehouses, so
Well, no,
they don't
understood, but
they
I'm
don't
just
just
saying,
leave
like,
things in the bottom,
using in that accelerated.
and they don't just leave things in the top.
Yeah.
They're cycling their barrels through the top, middle, and bottom of the rickhouse. So they're heat cycling to
Okay.
ensure that they are pushing the cycle, the Lamaze, in and out of that barrel,
Mhm.
so that they get a more consistent level of what they're offering to you, the consumer. I found that to be really interesting because there are distilleries out there like Dickel
Yep.
who are not trying to heat cycle. They're actually
No,
trying to
single level.
manage. Right? It's
They
all
want
single manage, and
consistency.
they want consistency. They're managing it
Yep.
at one
They
solid
are.
level. But then, like to your point, to Aaron, he's putting stuff way up high,
Well,
and
just
really
all over.
just
All over, yeah.
making crazy stuff. Jack Daniels with the Coy Hill product
Oh,
recently
yeah.
just did that, where they're like top of the rick house, the most extreme heat fluctuations possible.
Hot, hot, hot.
And that's where they were putting out these almost 70% stuff that they couldn't even release because it was too hot. It was undrinkable. It was basically cleaner.
Gasoline.
It was cleaner. And so the distilleries are playing with this cycling, this barrel Lamaze more and more to see what they can get out of it, what they're pulling and expressing out of the barrels and the cooperages. And I think that's good. I even we were talking about with Ken, who's been on our show before. We went to a great tasting over the weekend for Frey Ranch and with our friends over at Liquor World.
Shout out.
Or Liquor Outlet.
Liquor Lineup.
Liquor
wow,
lineup.
you
Jesus.
fucked up the name two times.
Liquor Lineup. Hey, Sal.
Now you can't even tag them because you're gonna be fucking embarrassed. You're like, Liquor Island? Is it Liquor 7-Eleven? Is it Liquor 7-Eleven? Total Wine?
All right, we're moving on. Thanks for drawing that out.
Please.
So what Ken was talking about though was how what was the now you made me forget.
I know
the distillery that he
the
had
distillery.
Frey Ranch. How Frey Ranch, a
liquor hut,
local, get the out of here.
And we don't even have a liquor.
Shut up. So they store their barrels in their rick house standing up.
Oh.
And on pallets. So they're not laid over on the side and nobody has to go over and turn them. And he was like, I wonder why that is. And so we thought there for a second. I was like, I know why it is. And it's because that juice is constantly touching all barrel staves at all times. The only thing you have to worry about is turning it to get onto the other side of the head. What's the chat?
Liquor Kingdom.
Actually,
if you don't mind, Safi, I'd like to copyright that. That may be the name of my store when I open up a brick and mortar. We'll call it Liquor Kingdom.
Yeah, I hope you have.
I like Liquor Kingdom.
Liquor Kingdom.
It's like Liquor Kingdom.
Are you gonna have knockoff like Mario Brothers?
Oh, we should. You should totally like run that into the ground.
It's like the Mushroom Kingdom,
like pop culture. Yeah, just anything pop culture is great right now. I'm sure. Hey, so thank you. All the shout outs to everyone saying hi. Shout out to Bourbon Cat. For those that join us later, she did have a little vet scare a couple days ago. We had to call in the vet. They have a wonderful mobile vet service here in Vegas that for like $100 they come out and do the same stuff you get in a veterinarian's office. Her anxiety goes to a next level at the doctor's office, as I'm sure. I mean, I do too, and I don't want to have to send her there, especially at her age. So they came over, they did a little check on her. She has some blood work being done right now, but hey, right now she's still eating. She's somewhat healthy. She's important to the Barrel Buddies community, obviously. I mean, this is Bourbon Cat. She's been around.
I think we'll have a commemorative shirt.
We're going to do a commemorative shirt. We're going to do a big bottle show. Patrick says, let's open up a Pappy. Absolutely. I will say this much. Patrick, I will open any bottle in my bar when we do a Bourbon Cat celebration. No question about it. Like,
Patrick, I need a ride.
And it goes back to me saying, guys, don't sit on these closed bottles getting dust. Oh, I'm saving that for little Jimmy in 21 years when he's ready to drink. No, crack it open now.
What happens when
some friends?
What happens when little Jimmy dies in a car crash?
Buy another one then. It's because it's sitting on the shelf. It's not changing.
I'm sorry.
That was dark. This is a dark show today. Light and dark. Here's the thing. Don't sit on this stuff. Get that dusty bottle of 23. Take it down and open it Share it with friends and family and
Let him
remember that
let him start
moment.
drinking it now. I mean, you know what? He might be 11, but god damn, it's time for him to start drinking.
When he starts teething, just put a little bit on the
Sorry,
gums.
I'm just gonna pause to say the Barrel Buddies definitely wants you to drink responsibly. Thank you.
Actually, we do. YouTube may cancel us for that comment.
Please drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly.
And no underage drinking.
That was
ever.
a joke. This was a parody
This
show
is a comedy
today. This is a comedy podcast. Full disclosure, do not take anything we say.
As everybody starts running out and being like, well, the Barrel Buddies told me to do it.
Do you remember the
They're
what was it
experts."
when the they always would say that disclosure when Jackass started it?
Yeah.
It was like these stunts were performed by professionals, blah blah blah. Like
The professionals. I love that they called
Well,
themselves professionals too. So do
the-
we.
the Barrel Buddies was
So-
not shot by professionals.
You know, we're hacks. So
Back to Michter's.
back
Sorry
to
guys,
Michter's.
we've really all
what's
over the
the
place.
price? What's our
All right, that's a
value
great question.
looking at
So-
on a bottle of 10 years.
So here's the thing. Obviously, this is a FOMO bottle. All right. It's
Very
Michter's
much.
10. Everybody's like, oh, Michter's 10, Michter's 10. How does FOMO, fear of missing out? Where do I get it? I need to have it. OMG, it's one of those bottles, right? Here's the thing. Do you want to hold her? You can-
No.
Okay. I
Nope.
mean, she's okay to hold.
I know she is,
All
but
right.
I
She kind of thinks. I mean, she's getting ready. Like, oh,
Nah,
you get to pick me
nah,
up?
nah, she's good.
Okay.
she's good.
She
let
knows
her-
English, obviously.
Let her be in her happy place.
So, back to I lost my train of thought.
Value. How
Value,
much is this
value,
gonna
value.
cost me?
Now let's talk about the
MSRP
bottles and
and what you're
location and
actually going to pay
MSRP.
for it.
So this bottle is released. I'm going to say it's potentially released like twice a year.
Okay.
I think that's probably a
So
good.
allocated.
It's allocated. Okay. Obviously, I'm sure if you're on like 3-tier system, your distro, you're going to have to like talk to a distributor, and you probably have to be selling a lot of Michter's products. I don't know what you have
be
to do to get on
friends
the
with
list.
your liquor.
Be friends
store
with your local
manager.
liquor steward, manager, etc. Yes, Safi says this is only drink responsibly. This is only for entertainment purposes only.
Thank you, Safi. A true fan.
So back to availability, it's highly allocated. MSRP. When I first started dipping in my toes into Michter's, I'd say in like 2018, 2019, 150, or I think it was 129. 129, I think was the price when I paid for my first off the shelf. I think it might have actually been this bottle.
That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's
That was falling in line with bourbon being affordable and not, creating
129
FOMO and
affordable bourbon. That doesn't make any sense.
well. So here's the thing. So even our MSRP today is 180. Would you pay that once? Let's say 179.99. Would
No.
you pay that for this bottle?
I would not.
Okay. Well, anytime you see it and you tell yourself not to buy it, you call me and say, "Do you want this bottle?" And I'll say, "Buy it for me."
Sure.
I will buy this bottle. I think you hit the nail on the head when you first talked about the taste profile. It just gives you, it almost like puts you at ease drinking this.
It's
I know
fun.
that sounds
Yeah.
weird, right? It's
It's
just like,
very
it's
calming.
comfortable. It's
Agreed.
calming. It's like
the soul food, the
enjoyable.
comfort food of bourbon. But it doesn't make you feel regrettable. I don't know that it's $189 good.
I'm with you. I can see that. It does
is
have an oakiness
good.
that is a bit much.
Here's the thing. I like good oak because good oak can translate to excellent flavor profile with good spice profile.
Absolutely.
It can. I don't know.
Are you talking about Amberana?
No, I'm talking about oak. Oak, sir. Get your wood right.
Zing.
Zing. No, oak can translate to really good spice profile, and I'm not getting that spice profile here. I'm getting a lot of oak. It's very pronounced oak, very pronounced American white oak, to be specific. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think even in wine tasting, where I think oak plays in my head a little bit bigger of a profile creator. American oak is very aggressive. It does have a spiky flavor profile.
Well, I think we talked about it with the overaging. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does. And I think that honestly, I would love to try a Michter's 10 aged in a French oak. Hear me out. French oak, much more rounded flavor profiles, very soft.
Subtle.
It's very soft oak flavor profiles. You're not going to get those oak spices that you would typically pull out
as
of American
prominent,
oak, right?
prominent. Yeah.
It's going to be much more round, and I think you would probably err to get more of what I'm talking about, more pronounced, dull oak flavor. But what you are going to pull out of it is more vanillas,
Yeah.
more barnyard, more earth tone, and that might actually be really cool with this bottle. Now, obviously, I don't work for Michter's, and I'm not a distiller. They may have done that. I would guess that they have, because if you are a distiller, there's no way you did not try that. I would be really interested in tasting it, but I do think that there are a few things that nick me down on the Michter's.
You zonk
10.
it. You zonked it.
I don't zonk it.
No, what are you zonking? There's got to be some elements you don't like.
Well, yeah, I don't like the spiky American oak
That's fair. I'm with
on
you
the
there.
palate.
I'm with you
I
there.
do think that that oak does go away in the finish, which makes it like a typical Michter's, very wonderful, great finish, wonderful notes of
It's sharp.
cream, vanilla,
It does
caramel,
have
brown sugar, and I think those are really classic bourbon flavors, and I think they're very classic with Michter's as well, and it makes it very enjoyable. It doesn't take me back from the fact that it makes me feel nostalgic. It makes me feel a little dreamy. Makes me want to walk down memory lane a little bit.
me too. I think that's like it invokes that feeling, which it takes a lot for a product to do that to anybody. Any product, and what I mean by that is any product that invokes a particular emotion in people.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you 100%. I think we're in agreement there that like it does invoke this reminiscing.
You know
like
what it
it's
is?
very strange.
I'm going to tell you what it is. I know what it is. I'm going to call it right now.
What do you call it?
There is a level of rancio in this bottle.
I 100% agree with you. It's the rancio that is the reminiscence.
That's what it is. It's the
old leather-bound books.
It's
like a dusty warehouse. A little bit. It's faint. It's faint.
It is. It's not super pronounced.
We're getting it like it's like second or third level of taste.
But that's really what it is. Because all this is reminding me of is when we drink that like almost 40-year-old bottle of
Brora, was it?
No, the Armagnac.
Oh, the Tenerez, the
1983.
Las Vegas whiskey drinkers. Shout out to Ryan and admins and crew for letting us get that bottle, the 83 Armagnac.
That is the most beautifully bottled spirit I've ever drank. We should do it for the show someday.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's like it's prominent rancio.
But we can't do that live because I could sit here for hours.
No, it's not something that you pound.
And we can't do it. We can't do it in the summer because I don't think I could drink it.
No. You don't drink, and it's not a summer beverage.
But that's I think what's drawing
it's like
that.
Drinking stout in the summer.
So here's what I'm going to say. Getting to a score, I think for a value, I don't know that this is a value. I understand the desire, and I understand the collectability about that, and that does go into my score a little bit. But I'm going to put the value at 1.5. I think that there are other.
Safi, what's your deal? You want to make a deal with what? I don't get what you're saying.
Oh,
maybe let's make a deal, buddies.
It's probably on your name.
Could be.
I like it.
On Liquor Kingdom. Oh, make a deal on that. Oh yeah, going back to Liquor Kingdom. We will make a deal.
Right?
I got you. Sorry, I didn't put you together. I'm with you. I'm actually I am wholeheartedly in agreement with you. Every word you're saying about value.
Right. I think 1.5.
Yeah.
If I saw this out in the wild, I would not just scoop this up. I would literally stand there and stare at it and go, okay, am I going to buy this? Why am I going to buy this? Do I think I can sell it? Like there would be a lot, and I probably would call you. I guarantee I would call you.
Do you know what this reminds me of, this bottle?
No.
And I'm going to make it a kind of a weird comparison.
Please.
This reminds me of like the reputation that like a Macallan 18 has.
Okay. Yeah.
Where like, I think this is a great boss gift. This is a great bottle that is at that price point where
it's Johnny Blue. Would you put this in that same category?
I would get this over Johnny Blue.
Would you?
Yes, I'd get a Blue Label. Blue Label is like I'm in a pinch.
Well, and it's easier to get. And
I don't know the person that I'm giving it to. If I don't know the person I'm giving it to, they get a Blue Label. If I know the person and know they like whiskey,
sure,
I would love to give somebody a Michter's 10 as a
Sure,
gift.
sure.
And I think the bottle, it looks expensive. I think
Oh, yeah,
NK
it's
people. These are factors we need to talk about.
yeah, no, I agree.
It's a beefy bottle. It's a
You know,
beautiful label,
I love the bottle. I love
recognizable,
the wax.
unique.
So 1.5 on the value. On the flavor, I'm gonna give it a 2. On the nose, there wasn't much of one. I would give the nose, being generous, a 2. That's gonna put me somewhere in the 50s to 60s out of 100. Um, I'm gonna sit on my out of 100 score because I need to think about that just a little
All right,
bit
let me jump
longer.
in.
So I gotta roll that around my mouth.
Nose, he's right. It was kind of a meh on the nose. When I usually say meh, that means middle of the road, 1.5. That's what I give it. Taste, I enjoy the taste. I like this. Yeah, I know I'm going against my traditional point of I don't like very intense oaky bottles, but this just has an oak sharpness, but it doesn't linger offensively. It doesn't linger bitterly. It lingers, it's just making itself known that, hey, I'm here. I got this like oak sharpness going on that that it's a 10-year. When you get that oakiness, you can usually suspect that it's something aged over, we'll say 8 years, right? And you'll know because you compare it to another whiskey where it's like, oh, it's light and buttery. Well, yeah, because it's probably a 4 to 6 year traditional, whatever. Not even traditional, this is standard run of the mill whiskey, bourbon, whatever. So, with that being said, I'm going to give the taste a 2. Okay. Value is where we're going to part ways here. I'm going to give it a 2 on value. And it still doesn't really add up my scores to something really high. Blown away bonus. I'm almost going to give this one a blown away bonus. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give it a blown away bonus, an extra 1 point, for those who don't know, for the history of this bottle, the history of the distillery, the look of this bottle, the reputation of this bottle. The taste fell in line with all of the above that I just said. Where I
would call you out on so much BS, but I think that those are all such valid points. That history story is incredible.
And I've never and we're pretty much whiskey nerds, and most of you are if you're watching the show. I had no idea that Michter's had that rich of a history in Americana in early America. Like George Washington had obviously the Lebanon Valley Coin Club per 1978, whatever. That George Washington, this was a big freaking deal. This potentially could have roots to our, fighting against the British. Obviously, any of our Brits watching the show don't buy this bottle, obviously, but we still love you regardless.
Clean up.
Thank you. And I'm going to give it somewhere in the 80s. We're going to get there.
Thanks.
Somewhere in the 80s. I don't know where. I don't know if I want to go 85 or 84. I'm kind of in that mid 80s. I think I'm going to go 85 just because of the brand recognition now and the history kind of gets it over that hump. I'm going to give it an 85. I love the brand. You think about the recent shenanigans with Bud Light, for example, right? Prior to its,
why are we doing this?
No. Just quickly, we're not gonna. I'm just using it as a quick example. Prior to the shenanigans that Bud Light just went through, Bud Light was an icon. There's no denying that. Prior to the current, say prior to 2023,
dilly,
Bud Light was an American icon, probably the American
anything.
icon, right? Now, I think that title,
this Bud's for you.
I think now that title is up for grabs.
What's up?
Obviously. I think Michter's could be a replacement for one of America's greatest. You think about the Industrial Revolution, you think about the United States and everything that we stand for in America and, opportunity, the land of opportunity. Michter's, I think, has such a great, rich, amazing story since time immemorial. Well, not really, but since American history began, which if you're from the United States, from America, you really only think about when America was like kind of conceived. I think Michter's falls in line and checks all the boxes of being the next American spirit. Michter's, you can take that, and you should be running with that. I don't know why you guys aren't like really running with that. Such an amazing, cool story. I'm going to give it an 85. I love Michter's. I wish I could drink 20-year and celebration all the time. For those that have had it, know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've only had them once, but in both instances, from what I remember, they were fantastic. But BJ, you're going to be happy. You're going to be glad to know. One of the barrel buddies here is going to be visiting us in December. Safi said she's going to be out here.
Oh,
hey!
I love this story. Safi's such a fun time to hang out with.
Good time.
Again, just another point that when you like, subscribe, and get to know us, Safi's another one that we've
you come out to Vegas, come hang out with us. Seriously, anybody that watches this show, you guys leave a comment when you're in Vegas. We'll come meet you for a drink. We're all about that. That's what this hobby is all about, guys. It's about making friends, sharing experiences, sharing stories. Man. I think that is what, and I'm going to get a little ranty, like these current generations of people kind of coming up to the ranks. Like, I think they need that. They're missing that in their lives. Like, everybody's so attached to their phone that they don't want to, they've never had a sit on the back porch at sundown, sipping on a beautiful bourbon, having a cigar or not, and just hanging out and chatting and telling stories. And it's like, that's the American way.
So here's what I poured.
America.
And here, for all of you who are watching going, what is BJ doing in the background?
Yeah, you've done a lot. You've done a lot of meddling. I'm going to call it meddling.
No, that's perfect.
You've meddled.
I have meddled.
And I have 2 pours here.
I've done it in the name of science because I really did want to come back to my feelings on this 10-year.
Okay.
Because there's just something about it that it wasn't sitting right with me. And I'm glad I did what I did. So here's what I did. In your neat glass, the official, unofficial glass.
Should I start with that?
I poured you some toasted.
Bob says, how dare you call us nerds? Hey, listen here, sub 1K.
You're a nerd and you're
a nerd with us and you're going to like it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably one of the most beneficial nerds you could be is talking about whiskey and bourbon to your friends. You go be a nerd of hold on, I got to be careful with what I choose here. You go be a nerd with I don't know. Help me out here because I don't want to offend some community out there, like some big community. You go be a nerd with something else, and then you try to bring that up amongst your friends, and someone's like, "What? What are you into?"
Hey, Bob, we'll see you at the D&D game on Zoom on Friday.
No, not D&D. I got sucked into some where I was like, I have no interest in this, but I'm like, wow, these guys are actually pretty intriguing.
And don't forget, we're watching the new episode of Doctor Who on Saturday.
But you know what I mean, right? Kidding. You guys know what I mean. I think this hobby is such a neutral. Everybody can get into it. Obviously, if you're 21 or older and you're drinking responsibly, that's it's a big deal.
All right, so I meddled.
Industry. What did you meddle in? What should I drink? And tell me what I'm drinking.
So out of the neat glass, you should try the toasted.
Oh boy!
Here's what I like about the toasted: softer, a lot of hints and notes of maple syrup, but almost too sweet compared to what we've been drinking.
Wow, that's taste of it. Drinks young.
It drinks very young.
It just drinks, and what I mean by that is that the toasted barrel is very sweet. I think it kind of has a sugar cookie sweetness, not in a bad way.
Yes.
But it's almost like a syrupy sweet, which I don't want to drink a lot of syrup.
In your plastic glass, I poured you some single barrel rye.
Oh.
Drinks thin.
I don't want to drink this. I want to drink the other 10-year before I have the rye.
On. Try the rye. Okay. It drinks sappy. It comes out kind of piney. Right?
Eucalyptus pine.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting.
Herbal.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Now, drink your Glencairn again, because what I've done is I have poured a little bit of tonight's 10-year into the toasted. And I'm going to tell you, I have just discovered one of the greatest blends I think we've ever done on this show. That is
You gonna
equal.
drink this
That's
now?
a 1-to-1, 10-year, and toasted, and it's fantastic.
Shame on you. Shame on you
Nope.
for such a gigantic pour in these
Nope.
glasses. You just blended something here. What did you
Delightful.
blend?
This is
Excuse
the
me. What
10
is
year.
this?
This is the 10-year and the toasted.
The 10-year bourbon and the toasted.
Yep.
All right. Cheers.
And I think you're going to love it. But you've been waiting for my score, and here's what I'm going to tell you about it. After going all through those three, I am going to up my score. I'm going to take my score to a 78 out of 100 because I do think that there's a back end on this that is lovely, and the finish is amazing. But the blend of the 10-year and toasted is incredible. You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you. I'm welcome because that's incredible. It's a perfect balance of maple sugar sweetness with a great back end of hot ethanol strength, good tenured single barrel, and a long finish.
I have to go move her. My apologies. I got to step away. She's not doing what she
I am amazed at that blend. And again, to the hobby, this is all do what you want, however you want to do it. So if you find two things that you like and then you go, hey, these might be good together, do it. It's totally fine. And if you don't like it, you toss it out. But I will tell you right now that was a good blend. Because I went, if you could take some of the thin sweetness from the toasted, which is very good, and then you give it some of that back end of the single barrel,
wow.
Struck
That is so
gold.
good.
Now that I'm going to tell you right
Wow.
now, I'm going to give my blend. I'm going to give my blend a 92.
I was going to say a 90. I was like, immediately it's a 90.
92 out of 100. It's super good.
Wow.
It's very good. It's very good.
So, friends, we've done the toasted barrel Michter's blended with the 10-year bourbon. And that is just money. What did you do? Is it like a 1-to-1?
It's a 1-to-1. Essentially, it's a 1-to-1. It's incredible. I could drink that for the rest of the night.
I don't know why you're not blending at Michter's. I think that's your...
Maybe my calling is I should just get into distilling.
You should get
Greg
Cellerman.
Hey, Greg Metz. We've been wanting to talk to you anyways.
Old Elk.
Colorado's close, and I'd love to come work for
Listen,
you.
one of the few another ones that have got it right. Shout out to Greg Metz and Old Elk.
He's doing some good work.
Unfortunately, I think it's a lot of the bourbon ship has sailed. Well, it's starting to sail. We're over the hump. We jumped the shark.
Love it. No, I love it.
Yeah, a lot of these Old Elk picks are sitting on the shelf, unfortunately. No, I'm with you. Let the ship sail. Let the hobbyists move on to tequila and to gin. What's coming up again?
The Rock marketed bull crab.
Tears of Lorena and your Fortaleza batch A22 or whatever, 43. Guys, bourbon is where it's at. It'll always be that.
And here's what we're going to tell you. There are some great tequilas that are barrel aged.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Añejos.
Hold on. Hello. Wow, why am I spacing out? What's the whiskey? The barrel aged
T1.
I was saying W1,
but,
T1.
I was going to say Testarossa, but that's wrong.
Testarossa.
There's a lot of really good ones.
Larry, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's
Welcome
up,
to the
Larry?
show. He's like, he's late, but that's okay.
Hey, you know what? Better
You can
late
play,
than
man, because
never.
what you can do is when the show's over, you just go back and rewatch it. So great.
All your añejos and reposados are all aged in bourbon barrels or whiskey barrels, and that's what gives them that beautiful golden color, that off hue. That's all just coming from bourbon.
Yep.
So again, we totally encourage.
Are you coming back, John?
No, she's checking out shoes, man. Let her check out shoes.
She's probably gonna drop a duty over there.
Oh
That's what I think's
God.
coming. Anyway,
that means it's time for us to go.
Yeah, just kind of time.
Bourbon Cat is coming to do her business, which means it's time for us to go. It's been fun hanging out with you tonight. My final score 76. Your final score
on the blend?
No, on just right out of the barrel the 10.
I mean, I would say 84, 85 is kind of where I'm like bouncing around.
Great. And on the blend 92.
90.
So,
I thought the blend was much better.
Yeah. You know what? Knowing that I could blend the two, if I could buy both bottles and blend them, I would pick them up. No questions asked. So there you go. Go get it. ladies and gentlemen, barrel buddies out there.
Hey,
and
so
Safi, we'll see you in December.
we'll see
I'm
you in
looking
December,
forward to that.
and then so
Christmas action. You ready for some Christmas fun? We got to plan a Christmas thing.
we do have to plan.
You want to go see some Christmas lights or something? Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll plan a good Christmas.
And that goes
event.
for the rest of you out there.
Anybody that's
Ed, who wants to come out? I
yeah,
know
we know
you
Ed
gotta
comes
come
out
see
on
us.
occasion.
Ed,
Uncle
you come
P,
see us.
Uncle P is coming out. Wow,
Uncle P,
she's coming back.
You know you want a Christmas time with us. So Uncle P wants us to come Christmas time with him. Actually,
really?
You want to go to Pennsylvania for Christmas time?
I'm gonna have. Here's the thing. All I want to do is like I'm that guy that just wants to like talk to Amish people and go to farmers markets, and I'm sure that
they're gonna spit at you.
Here's the thing. My family, my roots back in T-Town, you had a lot of like basement distilling. You had a lot of You had a like cherry bounce in basements, and I want to go to Pennsylvania, and I know
wine.
They probably don't want to talk about it or make it public, the Amish, but I'm sure they probably got a moonshine, distilled products, Uncle P, that we need to figure out that we can talk. I'll go out there. I'll approach random Amish people. I'm all about it. Like, hey,
what
do you do for fun?
Background?
What are you brewing? Do you brew? Because it's all of the earth. It's all from the earth, right?
We got some devil's tears in our basement.
That's it. So,
okay. Well, this has been fun.
It's been a great show. And
thanks
look at Bourbon Cat.
Bourbon
Cat came around round 2. We thank you all for the support and the messages you guys said.
We're going to be honest. So I know you said your thing, but I got to say my piece really quick. James is being very strong for the show, and I appreciate that. But for the first time, I've actually been sad and a little scared, and we put on the good fight, and I know we joke a little bit, and I know
and we put on there's front, right?
I know there's the joke, right? Oh, Bourbon Cat's not doing well. Bourbon Cat's really not doing well.
Bourbon Cat's really not.
The next couple of weeks are honestly probably going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
And forgive us if there's a week where we don't do a show. You'll know why.
Yep.
And there will be a celebration. And
I already talked about that. It's going to be a celebration of life when that moment happens, and we're going to go big.
And it's weird because I haven't known Jamba super long, but it's been long enough, and it's gonna be rough.
And I have pictures. So here's the thing: I was going through kind of my Google Photos, right, of
it's gonna be
20 years of photos. You're in a lot of pictures with her at the fun house with her on your lap.
Because I was one of the few and maybe the first people, because I remember
you were all about it. You were sitting on the fun house
at
that table. We'd sit in the kitchen,
and she'd jump up in my lap, and she'd
jump in your lap, or she'd
she'd
sit on the chair next to you. She was sitting in the chair next to you, like sitting with us, like one of the boys while we were drinking whiskey.
And you're like, she never gets in anybody laps. Who are you? What'd you do to her? What'd you give her? And I'm like, nothing.
And whenever so usually our weekends, one of the reasons why we spawned, like kind of the show started, was we were drinking on the weekends, typically telling really great stories and talking about what we were drinking. And we're like, why don't we put this online? Why don't we share this with people? And Jamba here has been a part of all of that. I would say that she heard her name. She has been from the night that we conceived and talked about creating Barrel Buddies. She was there at the table.
Yeah. At the table.
She would sit there, and I will show pictures. Yep. I have proof. It was me, BJ,
we're talking like
Zach,
the whiskey broom
and Bourbon Cat. There was 4 seats at the table, and she would sit there like a human.
Yep.
Just like hanging out. And she would just hang out the whole time. Just look around, take some pets, throw a little food.
Yeah.
Bourbon Cat, 20 years young. She's been around for a long time. She's been through everything. And Uncle Punky saw some moonshine pickles today. That means that they're doing shine.
Punky? What do you mean you saw them? You saw them and you bought them?
No, he just saw them. Obviously.
You saw them, and you're going to go back.
If he bought them, he would have said, "Oh,
you're going to go back tomorrow and buy them because I'm going to Venmo you some money."
This weekend, farmers market. He needs to go on a little trip.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, this has been fun.
This has been fun. Apologies for the longer than average show. We've ran an hour.
Whoa!
I know. Safi says cats have magic. They sure do. I mean, come on. The Egyptians worshipped these little suckers. So. Obviously, there was something to that. So
James is familiar.
What does he say? He says, "What happened to the pool?" So Larry says, "What happened to the pool guy that was in the chat? I have cloudy water in my pool."
Hey, pool guy.
Oh, Larry, you gotta check the filters, man. What's that coming through to? Right?
It's not always the filters though. It's also the
In
chemical
the
balance.
yeah.
So with cloudy water, your pH could be off.
You got to slam it. Look up the slam method, and I think we'll end up clearing it if you have good circulation. So it's not a pool show.
But for those of us,
I have a pool.
for
so I can
our
tell
pool
you what
guy
it
in the
is here.
chat, would you? I don't know who that is. Who do you know? What the pool guy is in the chat.
No, there was.
Who
I
is
want to.
that?
I want to say. I think it was Rico. And what name does he go by? I forgot what he goes by.
Oh,
in the-
Slyfly.
I think he was here, and this was a while back where he was talking about stuff like that.
Rico.
Yeah, I miss you, Rico. If you watch the show after the fact,
Suave.
join us live, brother.
And
Miss
leave a
you.
comment. If you wouldn't mind, Rico, just leaving a quick comment in the comments
Making
section.
sure you're doing all right, man. We want to make sure you're doing good. But
Again, a guy that I can talk to on the phone. Sadly, I have not. Shame on me. But again, subscribe and like, because if we
again,
talk to
here's
fans,
our shout out. Like, subscribe. The usual shill. We're still
and to Jordan Dove for this beautiful sign.
Yeah, shout
in
out
the
to our
background,
brother Jordan out there, man.
Jordan.
Jordan, this Barrel Buddies sign has been a icon of the Barrel Buddies headquarters.
Sorry,
and
I'm
we
not doing
appreciate
my heart
you,
right.
and we appreciate that Barrel Buddies sign. That was hand carved and painted.
Hand carved.
Like somebody spent a significant amount of time on
And
that.
it's such a like, it's who the show is. We'll be doing the
love it.
show 20 years from now.
We're still gonna have that,
and that sign is going to be in the
It's gonna
background.
be everywhere.
We're going to have the same 5,000 followers,
same 5,000 followers, same
sign in the
5,000
background.
subscribers.
And everyone's going to be like, well, we know those guys, and we know you too. This has been fun.
This has been fun.
Good show.
This is really cool.
Good show.
Everybody, good participation today. Good show. I know this is usually the recap we talk about between just us, but it was a good show.
we've done the show and
We're
potentially
gonna do a
the
good recap. Yeah. I got this
Well,
purring machine.
Lead
so.
us out there.
Oh,
Jimmy.
Larry, Greg moved down to Florida, man. He just recently went down there.
Are we supposed to say that?
So he said Greg moved ? But yeah, it was on social media that he moved down to Florida.
He did. So yeah. So Greg is no longer
in Vegas,
in town.
Yeah.
But we wish him super well.
We do.
I hope he does really well down there. I miss the guy. Honest,
I do. Actually, I really miss that guy.
I hadn't seen Greg. Obviously a busy guy, and he's
got
to all
the market, Mr. Stock Market, the Lions,
and the Lionesses,
his millions of followers. Good for him.
And
only wish him the best.
He's got a lot going on, and then of course he had his own life going on, and
Yeah.
so we haven't seen Greg in a minute. And sadly, again, another telephone call.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, talking to Greg about his change up and pick up and move, and I'm excited for him. That's going to be a great life change for him. But
yeah,
obviously, he's going to keep giving us the market news, the market watch.
Yeah, you guys follow him on
leading us
YouTube.
through.
Obviously,
Go
Greg
follow
Manarino. For those that don't know, follow him. The Wolf,
the Robin Hood,
the Robin Hood.
of
God,
Wall
why did I
Street.
screw that up? It's been that long.
Oof.
Actually, I'm queuing the movie, which I just watched a couple days ago, which probably was
so go see Greg, because obviously he's leading the charge on
He's leading the
Daily
charge.
Fight.
I caught up with his show about a month ago, and yeah, he's spot on with everything. I don't
He
know why
always is.
everybody isn't
He always is.
watching that guy.
It's actually
so.
funny. There's several people who know that we do the YouTube show and know that I do the show, and they go, oh man, I know another YouTuber in Vegas, and he does all this great finance advice. You should watch his show. And then they send me the link to Greg, and I'm like, yeah, I know Greg.
You're like, yeah, we know that guy.
We might know that guy.
For the Barrel Buddies, I'm James.
And I'm BJ. Don't forget to tune in next week for your
this is
weekly
Bourbon Cat, by the way.
Booze News and Reviews.
Booze News and Reviews. Later.